wasted days and wasted nights. You piss them all away. Little children in the street, dying every day. And we all look for something we can never find. And we all need peace of mind. Lonely wretch on the street, looking for love. $20 beneath the sheets. Is this all she thinks of? We all look for something.
Three, two, one, go.
Hey, Timmy, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, Sean. I've been wrapped around the axle here getting ready for this big trip over to the South Pacific. And I know I keep hearing how jealous you are, and it sucks to be
Well,
you
listen, you're
right
going to
now.
the Philippines, and I'm trying to get the pool clean. I mean, I think you got a better life than I do, Timmy.
Right now, this week I do, okay? But we got a decent show coming up, don't we?
Yeah, I think we got a great show, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's just jump right into it. So I don't know about you, but a couple days ago, I was, and I just caught it off of Facebook, truthfully, because I was scouring Facebook because I needed a couple things for the show, and I was looking for a couple posts that people sent to me, and I couldn't find them. I got to do a better job trying to stay on top of Facebook. But there was like an alert saying that Cohoes had a um, like a traffic stop going on at the 112th Street Bridge, and it looked like it was, the typical, hey, if you ain't got your inspection, you get a ticket. If you don't have, your registration,
Yeah, and
show
all
your,
that crap. Yeah.
stuff that actually aggravate the shit out of me because I believe like I'm an American, and if I need to get an inspection sticker because New York State needs my money, unlike Florida that don't make you pay for those inspections, you should give people a little leeway. Don't be just writing tickets and towing their cars and all that shit. But hey,
Yeah.
that's the country and the state of New York that we live in. But
Mhm.
interesting part of it to me is that according to everything on Facebook, and certainly it panned out to be true, that at this stop you had motor vehicle personnel, you had the state police, you had the Albany County Sheriff's Department, you had the Cohoes Police Department, and yes, you had ICE agents at that stop. So
Wow.
now imagine this stop goes from a typical everyday stop that nobody seems to give a shit that Americans are getting tickets and they're going to have to come up and pay $100 because they didn't have an inspection, which they should be outraged about.
Yeah.
But I get it. That's where we live, and we have to accept the fact that's the laws of the land.
Yeah.
But they were outraged, I guess, because ICE was there.
Yeah.
And people started screaming and protesting, and the media with their normal bullshit. Here's the media: ICE
Mhm.
agents cause a stir, or ICE agents cause chaos, or people are angry that ICE agents are on. Who is angry? Tell me who was angry because ICE was in Cohoes checking for
Yeah.
illegals. I just want to know, because I get so sick and tired of the media, Timmy, right? The media comes up with bullshit, and they
Yeah.
make a headline that makes it sound like everybody in the capital region was pissed off that ICE was there. Were there people
Yeah.
pissed off? Yeah, those morons that show up holding the sign, saying ICE go home or leave the illegals alone. They didn't do
Mhm.
nothing. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're not saying a word that they're writing a ticket to your neighbor for $100 because you don't have an inspection, but you're screaming about an illegal who jumped over the border, came to the United States, and you're
Yeah.
okay with that. But you don't have a problem with the ticket for having a bald tire or a light that's out. See, that's
Yeah.
what's screwed up about people, right? So
Mhm.
was there outrage, Tim? I guess
Yeah.
there was by the
Yeah.
morons.
Right. Yeah. Look
The
at these
morons.
people. Look, I don't know what got them to decide they want to get so many departments and everybody involved. Okay, seems to me it was really to make a statement. But the bottom line is, I do believe they did catch two that were here illegally. Correct?
Well, listen, let me jump over because I think I got some. I'm hoping that I have it here. Let me see if I got this video.
ICE is making 2 arrests tonight in Cohoes. According to Cohoes police, these arrests happened during a seatbelt road check on Ontario Street at the foot of the 112th Street Bridge. They say ICE arrested 2 men, one from Ecuador, the other from Mexico. Both, they say, have criminal histories. They say 116 tickets were also issued and a handful of vehicles were towed.
Wow.
Okay, so there you go. You got 2 illegals, criminals.
Yeah.
And people are protesting. Now, listen, grant you, this is just a small group of morons, people that
Yeah.
are out of their mind, people that have no
Yeah.
value to me because they don't even know that they're even protesting, right? They're just a bunch of like people that have no brain. Like they're screaming about shit that they don't even understand, right? But 116 of your neighbors got tickets and nobody says a word. I used
Yeah.
to say, I hate these check stops. I hate doing them because I think it's wrong to be like pulling people over and go, gotcha. I'd rather pull them
Mhm.
over and say, hey, did you know that you don't have your inspection? And in this great state of New York, they have to tax you some more. So you have to have an inspection. So you look like,
Yeah.
your car is safe. It could be the worst car in the world, but if you got that sticker, it must be safe, right?
Yeah, yeah, you pay your fee here, and I believe also once you get that sticker, okay, there. I told you what happened to me. I got pulled over because my sticker was red, and I still had about another 2 weeks to go on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just stupid.
it's just.
It's really stupid.
But look at these people here that were here illegally. Why were they coming into Cohoes?
Well, here's what I can tell you. So here are some of the things that I read on Facebook. The outrage truly
Hmm.
had nothing to do with ICE. I did not see one person that has a common sense brain, a normal everyday person, say anything about ICE being there other than, hey, that's great, good news. Outside a
Hmm.
few morons, and we'll get into some of the politicians who are morons at the highest level. Most people were like, hey, this is okay. This is good. Let's keep these people out of here, right? So the outrage was this, that it appears that because ICE showed up and
Yep.
ICE was partaking in this stop, the state police must have been told, pack up and get out of there, because we have a governor who thinks that like this is a great topic to get her reelected because she's going to get all these illegals to vote or something, because only a moron would think this is a good topic, right? And that seems to be the Democratic Party of 2025, right? And
Yeah.
then there was an argument that the motor vehicle people packed up and left. And then the Albany County Sheriff packed up and left, all because ICE was there. Now, I had the opportunity to reach out to the Albany County Sheriff's, and I asked him, I asked Craig, why would you just pack up and leave? Did you leave because ICE showed up? And he said, listen, let me make something clear. We left after ICE left. We didn't leave because ICE showed up. We left after ICE left,
Mhm.
and these people were there and they're screaming and yelling. And we have more important things to do than to be yelled at and screamed at for a traffic detail. I need to get my people back on the road and start patrolling. It had nothing to do. We left well
Yeah.
after ICE already left. So we
Yeah.
know the sheriff's department didn't leave because ICE showed up. We know that the state police left because ICE showed up. We knew that the people from the New York State Motor Vehicle left because ICE showed up. And I got to throw out some kudos, at least in the early part of this show, to the mayor of our city, Billy Kaler. Because Billy Kaler said, hey, public safety is my number one concern. Now we can debate that as we've done on many of the shows. If public safety was his number one concern, he's got a lot of room for improvement. But he said, "I will work with the ICE agents," and I applaud
Mhm.
him for that. So, hey, Mayor, if you're a closet watcher of truth, lies, and political bullshit, I appreciate you having ICE come if you were the ones who invited them. And I appreciate you for saying, hey, if they come, I'm working with them because this is
Mhm.
our city. And we
Yeah.
know that a lot of these people may be decent people, but there's a whole bunch of them that are bad apples,
Yeah.
as you
Now,
know.
yeah, and I guess these people that were picked up, Sean, the two of them, uh, we got Van Sleet here saying one was deported twice and the other has been deported 4 times.
Yeah,
So
so
these people
I was
are
just
they're repeat offenders.
going to
Okay.
tell you that I seen it on the Facebook, but
Yeah.
then I followed up to get, Facebook has a lot of bullshit on there, right?
Yeah.
But I followed up to see with other people who said, in fact, one guy's been deported twice, the other guy 4 times. These are slime balls that don't belong here. So
Hmm.
kudos to the mayor of Cohoes. If you invited ICE, kudos to the mayor of Cohoes and to the sheriff who did not leave because ICE showed up, but was smart enough to say, I'm not going to waste my time and have my sheriff deputies there being swore at, spit at, screamed at,
Yeah.
all because we're here doing a traffic stop.
They were
And
doing their job for Christ. Why weren't they picked up for if they're spitting at these
no,
guys?
no, I'm just saying. Look at if I was the police chief, I wouldn't have my. First of all, these pieces of shit that are out there protesting, nothing happens to them. So if they get spit on you, they start yelling.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. So why put your people in that position? Just
Yeah.
say, okay, guess what? We
Were
got
the two guys
160.
right? Were the two guys in the same car or different cars?
I think it was 2 different stops.
Hmm.
They
Okay.
probably would have got 50 if they stayed.
Probably.
But again, to the sheriff, kudos for not getting up and leaving like the state police did, and the people from motor vehicle. Look at it. I'm not saying it was the state police by no means, but you
Yeah.
know damn well that they have to leave because they work under the guidance of
Yeah.
our moron governor, who
Yeah.
is a pro illegal immigration. Right?
Yeah.
She won't let you have a gas stove in your apartment starting next year, but it's okay to jump the border and come here and cause all kinds of havoc. And we spend
Yeah.
$25 billion to house them and feed them and educate them and give them health care, while veterans are still out there struggling, right? You don't care about that. But that's the New York we live in. That's the
Hmm.
New York state that we all live in. We all pay our taxes. I don't even know why we would stay here. It's really
Yeah.
become a shithole. I'm going to be
It's
honest with you, Tim.
it's just bad. It's pretty bad.
If if I wasn't, I'm 58 years old. I never been any place other than living in this city, right?
Hmm.
You know that I'm in the process of thinking about packing up and moving, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Whether I'm moving full time, part time, whatever. I just know that there's so much better opportunities out there than to live in the state of New York, right?
Yeah.
Where the governor of the state of New York is proudly like she's a cheerleader, yelling and screaming that we should all be proud of her because she's going after Trump and she's going to sue Trump to get the
Hmm.
taxes put back on for congestion tax in New York City.
Yeah.
Like she thinks that people are excited that she's taxing them more money. I mean,
We're
that's how
yeah,
morons.
we're the heaviest taxed state, I think, aside from California as well, heaviest tax state in the nation. Okay.
Look at
And
we are a
just
state of chaos.
and how people can actually survive here. If I had other choices and stuff like that, or didn't at my age now with the medical conditions that we have, I'd get the hell out of Dodge
Well,
too.
hey, you may not come home from the Philippines, Timmy. Who the hell knows? You may
Yeah,
find yourself living up in the mountains and drinking clean water right out of the mountain
yeah,
and living the.
I'd be like Robinson Crusoe up there.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
You'll be like, you know what? I'm going to tell you something.
Mm.
There's something about the simplicity of life
Yeah,
at our age, right? I
yeah,
often tell people that um, I could get a cooler of beer, sit on the ocean, and listen to the waves and live the next 30 years of my life and
yeah,
never blink an eye.
yeah,
The chaos, the bullshit, the morons. The more I get, the older I get, the more I don't even like people. For Christ's sake, I'd rather
mm,
have people just leave me alone because, the shit that at least here in New York, I go
yeah,
down to Florida, I meet these people, these Southern people. They're kind, they're nice. They're not like screaming at each other because there's a traffic stop with ICE there.
yeah,
They'd be applauding it, you know. And our state is like attacking it. Luckily, in Cohoes, we do still have some good people. And the people of Cohoes, everybody was excited that they were here helping. except for a few morons. But
Yeah.
you remember a couple, I don't know, maybe it was 7, 8 months ago, we were talking about a state assemblywoman who was trying to pass a law that would allow kids at 14 years of age take the
The
uh,
jab. Yeah.
on their own without
Yeah.
parent consent, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because somehow she believed that she was God and she had power over you and over your
Mhm.
children because 3,000 people from Albany, New York elected her. Like she's some kind of like like some we should be bowing down to her. Maybe that's the best way.
Yeah.
Pat Fahey is her name. Her name is
Yeah.
Pat Fahey, and she wanted to take a needle and give it to your young child and let him make his own decision whether he should take that jab without any parent consent. We are now blessed by the good Lord to know that didn't pass because look at
Mhm.
all of the bad shit that's happening to all kinds of people, especially young people who took that all
Sean,
across the world.
right, and it's just getting crazy nationwide. Look at the Supreme Court; they just rejected an appeal by some middle school student, I guess, because he wore a shirt to school that said there are only two genders.
Yeah, I
Okay,
seen that. And the
did you see
Supreme Court
that?
and the
And the
Supreme Court refused to take it up.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell's wrong with these people?
Well,
What happened to your free speech? Okay,
listen,
that
our
offended people so badly. Okay, it's just the insanity.
our Supreme Court is a
Yeah,
joke. Our government is a joke. I want to know why you think you're some kind of like I don't even know the word I want to say, but what makes you think that you have some kind of superpowers because a bunch of clowns went out and pulled the lever for you because they didn't know any
yeah,
better? And all of a sudden you now think you are the parent of every child in the state of New York, that you somehow can decide what medicines they take, whether they can
yeah,
castrate themselves, whether they can be a boy or a girl. All of a sudden,
yeah.
one person, because they got 300 votes in an election, has the power to make those determinations.
Right.
Bullshit. I say you want to see a civil war in this country. It ain't going to be because of anything other than these politicians intervening in the lives of parents.
Yeah,
Because I don't
yeah.
know about
It's
you,
getting that bad. It's
but I would
getting
tell you,
that bad.
everybody watching this show, if they came to their house and said, "We're taking your kid away because he's 7 and he says he's a girl," and you said, "Get your ass downstairs, you're a boy. Get the baseball bat and the cleats on,
Yeah,
you're a boy, and we're going outside to hit the ball, and get a
yeah,
jock strap in case you get hit in the nuts because you're a boy," and they're going to
mhm,
come take your kid away from that.
yeah,
That's what they want to do. In California, they're trying to do it.
yeah.
Okay. In Colorado, they're trying to do it. In
Right.
Colorado,
Schools.
I think they passed it, Timmy.
I think schools think they have some kind of authority over your children. You know what? This is why you're seeing an increase nationwide of homeschooling. Okay.
It's not just
It-
school. It's the
yeah, it's
morons
everywhere.
like this Pat Fahey. Let me
Yep.
just tell you something. So we just had ice and Cohoes. Okay.
Yep.
So what do you think a politician has to do? Because 5 or 6 morons were out there protesting. They think, oh my God, this is a great topic. I got an idea. So here's Pat Fahey's idea.
Yeah.
Oh, her and a slogans call for the passage of the Safe Air Act as ICE tries to put people on airplanes, right? And ship them the hell out. We're going to pass a law that doesn't allow airlines to be used to deport anybody out of New York because,
Hmm.
oh my God, we just caught 2 people in Cohoes. I got to fix that problem. I
Yeah.
want your kid to take a vaccination at 14, and I don't want anybody to be sent out of the state of New York who's an illegal immigrant because I know better than you do about your life and what's best for you. That's that woman right there. That's the
Hmm.
lady who wanted your kids to take a jab without your parents' approval, and now she wants to stop any type of participation in sending people out in an airplane out of New York because she knows better. But let me tell you about this woman, Timmy. Let me tell you what she has not done. Okay? What she hasn't done is called the mother of this 15-year-old little girl who ran away and got into a car with this piece of shit who was an undocumented immigrant who took a pipe and said, I'll bash your brains in unless you have sex with me. And then he repeatedly rapes her. And Pat Fahey didn't call on him to be deported. Pat Fahey didn't call the mom and dad of that person and say, I am so sorry this happened to you. These people don't belong in this country, and I'll do everything I can to get rid of them. No, Pat Fahey says, holy shit, I showed up in Cohoes and we got to do something. So let's pass a law that we can't deport people in an airplane out of New York. And then you ask yourself why we live in this moron state with morons like her who got 3,000 votes, who thinks she's the queen of the world and can control your life. But
she should worry about her own district that she's
she should
involved
worry
in,
about that young girl that got raped.
Yeah, her own
But
district.
I don't hear her standing up with this asshole other assembly member saying, hey, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Every day we're reading about another American being killed and raped and beat up and cops getting punched and spit at and you name it. We're hearing about it every day from these illegals. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Timmy, you don't hear about that.
You know, Sean, if I had it my way, if you deported one and they came back again, they had to get deported twice, which happened to these guys. A third time there, I'd be showing them the end of a rope. Unfortunately, our country, we can't do that nowadays, but that's my attitude.
Well, I just know this, right? I was watching the news as I was putting together this podcast.
Yeah.
And my blood was boiling because I despise this Fahey. Okay.
Mhm.
She's done nothing her whole life. She's a useless slug. She was an assemblywoman who was worthless. And she was then knighted to take over the Senate seat because they think they own the seats, not the people. So they indict her. They threaten everybody else who wants to run. And she becomes the next senator, taking Breslin's seat. And then she thinks she owns your life, your kids, your house, your family, your car, your dog, your cat, your pig, whatever else you have, right? Pretty soon she'll say, you can't swim in your swimming pool unless I'm allowed to come over with my family and use your pool and drink your beer and use your electric grill because we're stopping you from having gas grills. That's the morons that they are. And nobody cares. So I don't even know why I care. I sit here and my blood's boiling. And so as I'm putting together this thing, and I'm going to talk about this slug of a senator, a young girl who was a few weeks away from graduating from, and listen, I'll stand corrected because I just caught it out of the side of my ear. I looked over and it was flashing off the TV, but a young girl who was about to graduate from one of the military academies was killed in an accident by an illegal.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another story again today.
Right, because they're handed driver's licenses without having to
they can't even read English.
Take a test. They can't pass a permit test. Here's your license, sign off to it. Oh, by the way, you're a registered voter now. Then they go on out in a vehicle, and next thing you know, they're killing their kids.
Listen, you know that I have a lot of patience.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
So, I go to motor vehicle in Clifton Park because my license expires on my birthday. And I said, well, I better get that enhanced license, right? Yeah. So I get up to the motor vehicle in Clifton Park at 7:30 because it opens at 8. And I go, what moron's going to be there before me? Right. I get there, there's about 75 people in line.
Right.
I'm like, you got to be shitting me that I got to sit here. So 2 hours, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer, 2:35. I don't want to be technical, but long enough that I hated the world, right?
Yeah.
So I called in advance and said, what do I need to get this enhanced license? They tell me. So I get up to the window and the lady says, I need your birth certificate and your social security card. I said, okay. So I open up my phone. I show her my social security card because I got it in my phone, right? Show her the
Yeah.
front, show her the back, show her this, show her that, show her my license I've had for 29,000 years. And she goes, "Oh, I need your actual social security card." I go,
Oh
"Why?
my
Do you got to run
God.
it through a machine?" She goes, "No, I
Yeah.
just got to verify it's you." I said, "Lady, I'm holding my license I've had since I'm 18 or
Yeah.
16." I said, "Here's my birth certificate. Here's my address. Here's my W-2s. And here's my freaking social security card right there on my phone, both sides.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't help you." However, that
Mhm.
didn't, that got me pissed, right? But not as pissed as the guy next to me who had nothing because he wasn't from this country.
Wow.
And the lady said, "I can give you your license. I can't give you a enhanced
Enhance.
license,
Yeah.
but here's your license without any documentation. Doesn't even know if it's real name.
You
All he
have to
had
have
was a letter." And
right.
the
You have
letter
to have,
probably said, "Here's how
right.
much you're getting in food stamps. Here's how much you're getting in car allowance. Here's how much you're
Yeah.
getting for college and
Yeah.
medical. And by the way, Pat Fahey sponsors you." Okay. That's
Yeah.
what he had. And he gets a
Hmm.
license, and I have to leave, go home,
With
and go
nothing.
back and stand in line for 2 more hours just because I didn't have the paper social security card.
Yeah. 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 Well, didn't you
That's the
have a
problem.
passport? Didn't you have a passport at all?
You
Do you
know
have a
what? I
passport?
had one and then I didn't have one. So I figure I have to, get a
Yeah.
passport again. But
Yeah.
that's not the point. The
Yeah.
point is, I'm a legal citizen, born and raised here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows
And,
me. Everybody knows you in the city, right? I've caused enough havoc in my life, and just everybody, nobody should guess who I am. Here's my
uh,
picture.
yeah.
Here's every documentation I have.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of my thumbs. What do you want? And I have to leave and come back for 2 hours while the guy next to me gets a license. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it wasn't an enhanced license. At least I don't think it was. I thought I heard her say, "I can't give
No,
you."
you can't
He
get
didn't
an.
speak
You gotta,
English.
you gotta have 6 points of proof in order to get an enhanced license. And
Well, he didn't even speak English, but he walked out of there with a license, got in his
yeah,
car, and drove down the highway backwards because he didn't
right.
even know how to drive.
He
Okay.
probably drove there in his without a license and got walked out with one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's insane. Okay,
it's
yeah,
insane, and it's hard for me to comprehend. When I got into politics, I got into politics because I wanted to make a difference for my community, right?
hmm
I didn't want to make a difference in the way where I go, because I said it, you have to do it. I fought against that shit. That's why I
yeah,
was the black sheep, the outcast. I didn't want to, Timmy. I didn't want to just get along to go along and collect $30,000 check. Okay, that's not who I am. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to make things right for people, right? So think of this. It should be almost impossible to pass laws. And the reason I say that is, remember
yeah.
this.
You said that before. Yeah,
Yeah, because every law steals away one of your liberties.
they do. Or
Every
the
law that
right.
tries,
It's well, look at really what happened on the traffic stop. You had 6 police agencies. Doesn't that smack at Big Brother? Overly too much big,
well,
even though they did a job and they bagged two criminals. Okay, but why 6 agencies? You know, Sean, there was a car accident at Cumberland Farms today on Route 9. Two little cars, fender bender, didn't look like 12 vehicles, emergency vehicles responded. 12. Okay. So sometimes, I ask myself, why do you have to have 12 people? 12 vehicles show up for one little stop?
yeah,
Go ahead.
when I was the fire department, I used to say this is overkill too. If
Yeah.
you have a box alarm go off at the high school, you should send one truck up there. Chances
Yeah.
are it's not going to be a fire. It's sprinklered. There's 800
Yeah.
people there that would have called. Sometimes emergency services is overkill, but I guess overkill is better than underkill, right? But 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 what I hate is that every law that's passed steals away your liberties. I think it was Benjamin Franklin, and I'll stand corrected because my history is not so well. But he once said, "Never sell your liberties for security, because certainly you will lose both."
Mhm.
Okay. And
That's
that's what
true.
happens. Every time you give up one of your liberties for something to secure you, you lose something.
Yeah.
And you're not more secure than you were before you gave it up.
Hmm.
So think about that, right? Think about all these bills that are being passed. If there's something that I learned about politics, and I always, you know, that I told you 100 times that political parties have destroyed the ability to govern, and they have destroyed politics because it just puts people at each other over shit they have no idea other than I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican,
Well,
right?
Sean, really, yeah, right. But here's the point, in my view. Okay, they could put together all the laws they want, but they don't mean anything to the people who have nothing to lose. Okay,
Well, yeah, but the
so
everyday citizen, Timmy, follows the rules.
right, you do. Okay, say you've got a family, you've got a house, you've got all these responsibilities. Okay, so you're more compelled to follow those laws and those rules. But you get these people who don't have much or have nothing. They don't give a shit.
Well, look
Okay.
at the reality is, look at all of the. Just take a few laws, okay?
Hmm.
Like taxing you on your home. I buy a house, I pay
Yeah.
for the house, I pay the taxes for the house. Then you tax me property tax, you tax me this tax, sales
Right.
tax. You know, uh, we were just talking about the safety sticker on your car. That's a form of tax,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Uh,
Right.
these
You
are
can't
all
buy
laws,
can't go fishing without a fishing license,
right?
another fee. I mean,
These
we're
are all laws that are passed
yeah.
that steal away your liberties
Mhm.
under the security of safety.
Mhm.
And I find it to be bullshit
Yeah.
on the highest level. And when I was in the county legislature, I said, I'm going to tell you what I see as the worst part of government. And that's a government that has so many political opponents.
Well, Sean, you just froze. Okay, people out there, looks like Sean froze or something happened. Maybe Finn bit the wire. I'm not sure. Are you back?
No, I don't know. I'm so tired of this podcast bullshit.
Now you're back off. Now you're back on. Are you
You
back?
bounce out, I bounce out. It's something to do. I have no idea. I'm looking outside, the trees are blowing. It's probably the shitty internet connection.
Yeah. So look at I got a question for you though. Let me hit you with this. Why is it, Sean, that you have to have a license or for a dog? You have to have dog license, but you don't need one for a cat.
How the hell I know? Because you go talk to the lawmakers. Maybe they're a bunch of cat lovers and they don't like dogs.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I got stray cats running all over the neighborhood up here, right? They're in my garage, they're in my back sheds and everything. And you know what? I say to myself, people got to have a dog license, but what about the cat license? I
you
think the
know,
cats ought to unionize, or the dogs should unionize and say, hey, we've had enough of this. You
hey
know,
Harold, I'm not using Wi-Fi. I'm actually plugged in.
you're actually hardwired.
I'm plugged into the wall. Yeah. So
Yeah, so am I.
so we're
But
still having.
right? Are you plugged into a device that receives a signal by wireless?
Yeah, but when I look at my thing, I'm at as high as you can get. My
Okay.
speed as high as it can go. My upload speed, my download speed, my connections at 5 bars.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is. I have no way to figure it out. I'm so sick and
Mhm.
tired of it because we've been dealing with it for 2.5 years. I
Yeah.
pay more money, I get more shit. It's almost like politics. They take more
Yeah.
out of my pocket and they give me less. And that's where
Yeah.
we are today. Right now, everybody in this country, especially in New York, is paying more and getting less. You want to be a good politician?
Yeah.
Charge me less and give me more. And then maybe, just maybe,
Mhm.
I'll say, hey, what a great place to live. But
Mhm.
right now, you can't catch a fish without a license.
Yeah.
You can't drive a car without a license, right? You can't get on an airplane without a license. You
Yeah.
can't get on but if you're an illegal, you can do anything you want.
Go to
And
motor
if they pull
vehicle.
you
Here's your
over,
license. Yeah.
yeah. How come Pat Fahey didn't say, hey, they just pulled over 166 people in Cohoes. We should pass a law that says you can't give them a ticket the first time that they get pulled over at an inspection stop. It has to be informational only. How
Yeah.
about that, Pat? How about sticking up for me and Timmy and everybody
Yeah.
watching the show? But
And
no. No, don't worry about the 166 tickets and the people who's got their cars towed. Worry about the 2 illegals.
Yeah,
So let's pass a law that we can't fly them out because holy
right,
shit, they're illegals. What are they, gods? I don't
right.
understand this mess.
They're
Help me
upset because
understand it, Timmy.
they're upset because you get two illegals pulled over, taken away by ICE, but some poor person there they get their car towed. Okay,
Yeah.
probably wasn't insured. That's the only thing I could think of.
Hey, I got an idea, Pat Fahey. If you're listening
Mhm.
with your big hands, your man hands,
Yep.
okay? Let me tell you what you should do. You should type up a law. God knows you ain't doing that. That
Yeah.
says all of these stops have to be informational the first time. So when you pull him over and you run his plate, you go, okay, Sean, you don't have an inspection. You got 30 days to get it, or this becomes a ticket. How
And
about
Sean,
that?
right?
Who
Didn't
the
we
hell
have
was
an
that?
right?
Pat?
We had right. Didn't we? Also had on an earlier show that some congressman, I believe, that didn't want to allow police to pull someone over for a taillight.
We
Remember
just talked about that.
we talked about that not too
We had
long
the
ago,
district
right?
attorney on. We had
Yeah,
2 people out in New York City that didn't want cops to have the ability to pull you over. How ironic. 2 of them
right.
don't want you to get pulled over, and the
Yeah,
other 2 gave us 166 tickets
and
and passed a new law to save the illegals.
yeah,
I mean, maybe
right.
the 166 people should go knock on her door.
It's 116, not
All
one.
right, 106. By the
You
time,
know,
who the hell knows?
yeah.
166,
Get
116. What the hell's the difference, Timmy?
Get your shit together, okay? This is my image here being impacted here. Okay. Okay. You're freezing on the podcast. I got a reputation in
I know, I
to
know.
uphold there. Hey,
I
so what
can't.
do we got going? How it goes?
Well, hey, listen, there's a great things happening in Cohoes, right?
Yeah,
If you
so
listen
let's
to the
go.
mayor. So,
Well,
hey, listen, I give him kudos because I think what he did with ICE is
yeah,
fantastic.
that's
But
good.
when you get
Yep.
over to this next thing,
Yeah.
I think he's full of shit, like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
has been with about 90% of the other things. So, that floating solar panels that's going
Yeah.
on our drinking water that's never been done before.
Yeah.
Um, went from costing the city 180,000 to costing us about $1 million, right?
Yeah, we're up at least 900,000 now. Okay,
So the
so
taxpayer.
how many years is it going to take to get that money back?
Well, so now you got the guy who's telling you that it's only going to be 190, who forgot to tell you it was 900, who's
Same
up at
guy
the
that's
water
told us
filtration plant putting
right.
no trespassing signs up because the
Yeah,
place is falling apart and you don't want nobody to see it. He went
yeah,
on to his Facebook page today. It was sent to me by a watcher. I got about it 18 times actually.
yeah, yeah.
And basically what he's saying is, hey, by the end of the summer, we're going to have 6,000 panels on almost 10 acres of our water surface. Like,
Mhm,
that's not alarming, right? And once
right.
it's fully operational, we're going to have an annual savings of $500,000 a year. Now, Timmy,
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
Well, we're going to need 2 years just to pay back all the over cost. All right, so let's take 2 years and cut off of that before
That's
we even see any savings.
before you see
Okay.
any savings, you got to pay the bill, right?
Yeah, and we're not saving any money on the LED lights, despite
Well,
that
hell,
lie.
they're telling you they are. They see they
It's
what
a
they
lie. Not
Well,
happening.
it's a lie because they forget to tell you about the debt service they got to pay, right?
That's
If
right.
it's $200, if it's $2, wait a minute, excuse me, let me rewind that. If it's $200,000 a year for the
Yeah,
lights and
yeah,
400,000 for the bill that that you have to pay each month for the
yeah,
loan, that's 600,000.
yeah.
If you did nothing at all and just changed the light bulbs like you should have, it was only 450,000.
Well, okay, so
I should freeze right now, right? I should.
no, no. So
Tell
here's my
me.
thinking. Okay, here's my thinking. If we're going to save $500,000 a year, right? Does that make up for his $1 million a year for an ambulance? We're
Oh no,
still way behind.
exactly. I mean,
It's crazy.
when he says he's saving money, the guy is look. At
He
I don't
doesn't know
want to
what
call him a
saving
liar.
money is.
I don't want
I,
to call him a liar. I want
I
to call
am.
him a competent fool because almost everything he's talked about that he's touched has not turned into gold. It's turned into shit,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, think about it. Where do they get done retrofitting this bank into a library? That will be about $1 million. And
It
I
already is.
if you watched this is just my take, but I sat in front of this guy for 4 years when he was giving me the audits. The guy was
Yeah.
very kind, but he was saying, "Whoa, slow down. You guys are spending money like drunken sailors."
This is Claflin, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, well, his company does the audits for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
city, right?
yeah,
Now, he
yeah,
didn't come out and say it in a negative way. I'm just telling you how I felt like I read it when he said, "Hey,
yeah,
basically you got to slow down because everything they're spending money on is overboard, and they're
right.
never, they're always underestimating the costs.
Yep.
And whoever's doing the bids and choosing the bids and asking the questions, there's always overrides.
Hmm.
The council is like a fart. They're useless.
Well,
Okay.
they sat back and approved $50,000 more because the one of the contractors underestimated how they were going to put the rocks and everything around so they just handed another 50 grand. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
The overrides are crazy. I just heard Ted Collins said the grass is high. I'm so tired of talking about the grass on 787. That guy's just neglected that to the highest
Yeah,
level. I
yeah,
praised him for having the trees put on, but it
yeah,
looks like they're not even taking care of the trees. Um,
yeah.
so, hey, listen, Timmy, Cohoes is in a bad way. I don't see it getting better. I don't give a shit what anybody says. The people that put on the pom poms and cheer for this guy, they're just, every mayor of every city has people that just love him, and you could do anything you want and they're going to support you, just like
No matter what.
AOC and just like this Pat Fahey and every
Yeah.
other elected official. They got a group of people that no matter what they do will support them,
Hmm.
right? But if you ask yourself this question, and I know I was fired up, but ask yourself
Yeah.
the question: if Pat Fahey gave a shit about the people, would she not have went to the house of that person who was raped and tried to do something to protect her rather than worry about the illegal immigrant?
Hmm.
Doesn't people see it that way? Am I the only person that sees it that way?
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad they cut that grass this morning because it was pretty high. So there you go, Ted. Somebody just texted me and said they cut the grass. So kudos to them
Hmm.
for cutting the grass.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, what does it say? Time to retire.
Time to
Oh,
retire. Cohoes
lost
lost.
hope.
Oh,
I
but
don't
say
know.
it's a lost hope. But the kid
I,
Venus,
I don't know
whoever
if
it
it's lost hope. I just think that right now it's being run by somebody
well,
who
look at
doesn't know how to run it.
he doesn't know how to spend. He doesn't know how to manage money, and then he's got a DPW commissioner who doesn't know how to manage people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you put them things together, what you have is exactly what the kid said. The
Well,
city's in trouble.
yeah. So look. I mean, look at Sean right outside of my house here, right outside the street. Right, a water leak's been broken and running down the street for better than a month, and I'm convinced that they're not fixing it because of me.
Adam Christopher's watching. Hey, Adam, since you're watching the show as the president of the council, I would love to know. Well, I'd like to know a lot of
Well,
things.
I asked him to come on a podcast. Him and Higgins
Well,
can't
why
get him.
you got? Yeah, I was going to say why you. I want to know why you're afraid to come on the show. I mean, for God's sakes, you're an elected official. We will be respectful. We have elected officials from all over the state come on. We don't blindside you. We ask you questions that are just common sense questions. I mean, if you're an elected official, come on and talk about what's happening. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe you can come on and clarify some stuff for us. Uh, but geez, I mean,
Yeah,
I always thought I treated you well. I always supported Adam. Always thought he was a good guy. Matter of fact, I told you everybody should have a kid that grows up like him because he's a
yeah,
gentleman of all gentlemen. He's a
yeah.
principal of a school. He's a kind-hearted man. Um,
Mhm.
but I got to be honest with you. Sometimes kind-hearted people can't get shit done in a
Well,
world of
yeah,
crocodiles, man.
yeah. Well, he's got a job to do. Okay, and look at I told him better than a week ago. Now it's not his fault that water still leaks out in front of the house. Okay,
It's not his fault, but he's got
not
to
it,
have a
but
voice.
yeah, as a councilman, he's got to say, "Hey, when are you getting up there, guys?"
I was in the
Okay,
county legislature.
yeah,
And I knew that I couldn't get nothing done because at that time I was just a new guy
yeah,
and nobody gives a shit what you have to say, right?
hmm,
I said to myself, if my constituents are watching or if they're listening to what happens at these meetings, or if they're going online and reading, whatever, or if they ask me, I would always stand up on that floor and I would fight the issue with everything I had, even though I knew I wasn't going to get it done. So I could look the people in the eye and say, listen, I tried. I'll continue to try. But sometimes in this business of alligators, it's hard to
Hmm.
get things done. But I
Yep.
guarantee you, nobody's fighting harder than I am to get it done.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the meeting on the record and fight like tooth and nails about the issue that was important to me. Why can't Adam, who's the president, be vocal and fight his issue at the council meeting on the record so people can see that he's really trying to do something?
Well,
Because
look at you. Yeah.
if you're behind the scenes, then you're really not doing shit. That's my motto. Either do it up. When I used to knock on doors and people go, Sean, I'm voting for you, but I can't put a sign up. But I support you fully. I'll be like,
Yeah.
bullshit. If you fully support me, you'd put a sign up.
Yeah.
But so I used to tell people the only person you can believe in politics is when you knock on the door and say, I'm Sean, I'm running for mayor. And he goes, get the fuck off my porch. You know he
Yeah.
don't like it. Everybody else pats you on the back, tells you they got your vote. And the reality is they're sticking it to you.
Well, Sean, look at that. And I know I've beaten it on up. Okay. You know, um, Adam is the president of the Common Council. He's the second in command here. He's a heartbeat away from being mayor. Okay. You got a mayor right now who's been found to have violated the city ethics code and campaigning in City Hall using municipal resources. And the Common Council is the appointing authority for the members of the ethics board. That's why they report to the Common Council. Adam, you've done nothing, okay, nothing in regarding to any penalty, if anything, or any fine, if any, okay, against the mayor for his violations. Okay, when are you going to stand up and do your part of this job? You got to do it, Adam. Okay.
Well, listen, I agree. We talked about it last month
Mm-hmm.
where New York City had the stones to go after de Blasio and make him pay back $385,000.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here, Adam can't. It's not just Adam. It's
No.
not just
It's
I
well.
don't hear
You got
anybody.
six members of the council. They'll sit there and hide in the bushes if they
I
you
don't
leave it up
hear
to them.
Adam. I don't
Nobody.
hear April. I
Nope.
don't hear anybody.
Nobody.
And I told April, I'm going to support you, but if you don't do anything, if you don't fight for the cause, I'll be the first one to call you out.
Well, it's going to be a one and out for her if she keeps going the way things are.
Well, I haven't heard her fight for anything, truthfully. I mean, come
Hmm.
on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that every day you get up and you need to have a reason to fight with the government. You're the mayor.
No.
You should be with them 95% of the time. Everybody should be on
Yeah.
the same page
Yeah.
95% of the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I understand that. But every once in a
Yeah.
while, something comes along and you
Yeah.
got to say, wait a minute. I mean, the first thing is, how about like the, the $900,000 override for the
This.
filtration plant?
Yeah.
That's
The
not,
solar
that
panel.
doesn't raise
What?
your,
Right. What about Steve Hennessy, DPW commissioner, lying and telling TV10 that they have a bacteria report on the plant up the water plant, right? Okay, and it said it came back clean, and then when I foiled for the records, they don't have any records, Sean. Nothing. It was a lie. And where's our common counsel to say, hey, he lied about it and do some kind of inquiry?
listen, I agree. There's so much that they can do
They
in
won't
way of
do anything.
just bring it to the public's attention. Just come
Hmm.
out to the public and say, hey, I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Did we put dirty water into our drinking water or not? Because
We did.
everything tells us that we
Hmm.
did. And
We did.
why are we hiding it when they foiled the information? Timmy, I used to be on, they used to say to me, oh my God, I wish this guy would just shut up. Because I'd go to the floor and say, Mr. Chairman, explain to me why we're not given this information. If you're telling me, and I have to rely on you, because I don't really know because I'm not working there. I'm a legislator in Cohoes. But tell me, why can't we give the information if everything you're telling me is true?
It's absolutely true, okay? And there's no interest by the Common Council the further along this thing, okay? I did all the investigating, Sean. I did all the FOIL reports. I know exactly what happened, okay? And the bottom line is the council is just not interested because you know why? It calls for holding someone accountable, and that's not their job, according to them, okay?
Well, what is their job? If you're an
God knows. God
first
knows.
and
I don't
foremost,
know anymore.
first and foremost, you are an advocate for the people when you are
Yeah.
elected as an elected official in the government.
Yeah.
You are an advocate.
Mhm.
99% of your job is to advocate for the people. So don't give me the shit that's not my job. It doesn't have, there is no job description. What is your job? If your
Mhm.
job's only to make the budget, then don't show up for the rest of the meetings for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
job is to say, hey, my people who live in the fifth ward have a problem with $1 million overrun. We have a problem with you spending their money on the Christmas cards. I know it sounds ridiculous, people. I get it. This sounds really stupid. It sounds petty. It sounds
Mhm.
childish. Oh my God, truth, lies, and political bullshit. The two assholes doing a podcast are crying about the mayor spending $3,500 on Christmas cards. No, I'm crying about him spending $3,500 of money that belongs to us when I'm
Yeah.
not even sending out Christmas cards. It's
And the
my money.
the council doesn't care. There's no ambition.
I need
No
that money to get
ambition.
my grass cut,
Right.
Jerry.
Hey, there's Sean, there's no ambition to take the high road and say, hey, we're going to look into it. So it's fair. You know what? They dump it onto the ethics board. The ethics board is just a back burner, wash it dry, clean it on up, send it back to the council, and then they say, oh, geez, we can't do anything about
Let
it.
me put something in perspective.
It's just total bullshit what's
Let me
going
put
on.
something into perspective
They
for you.
better have it fixed by the time I come back.
We'll be
Okay.
fired up in the Philippines.
By
Huh?
by the time I come back, this better be fixed. And I'm but why if it isn't, then I'm gonna string it all on out in future meetings where it's on the record in the minutes. And that's what
Timmy,
they're gonna I'm gonna make the Nuremberg trials look like a trip to Disneyland.
I want to put
Okay.
something in perspective for you because
Go
I
ahead.
always try to put something in perspective when it comes to this. So they accused me of taking money that was given to me by people like you who support me, my father, my brothers, my friends, and they came up
Uh-huh.
with this cockamamie story that I used that money inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Only $12,000 of $1 million over 6 years, which is about $1,500 a year. And then it got chopped down to 6,000. Then it got chopped down to 500.
Yeah.
But it was my money, and if it was spent inappropriately, which I still tell you it wasn't, somebody should have said to me like they did to the mayor of Albany, "Oh, you can't spend it on that. You have to pay that back." That's
Yeah,
what they
that's
do
all.
to
That's
everybody.
they did this to
Everybody. Because
everybody else
people
except
do
you.
spend, that's right. Everybody spends money. And since there's no like list of things you can spend it on, there's no rule until they make a rule, right? So they'll look and say,
Yeah.
that probably doesn't fall into the category. You have to pay that back. Okay, big deal. You pay it back, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a
And it's
big
over.
deal.
Yeah. No, but you get to go to
I get to go,
get
halfway to Sing Sing for $500.
yeah, Alcatraz.
Billy Keeler is spending
Mhm.
taxpayers' money,
Yes,
not
$3,200.
his campaign people's money, which is supposed to be spent on politics, but he's spending taxpayers' money for his own personal use.
And of that
FBI
3,200,
came after
Sean,
me and said, "You spent
yeah.
campaign funds on your own personal use, $500."
Well, the
I
federal
really, I did?
government,
Holy
right?
shit, what did I do it
Yeah,
on?
yeah. Well,
But
they took
but
took $800 in postage stamp too.
he spent $3,000 on
What about
personal use.
right? And using
Where's
City
the
Hall,
FBI knocking down his castle?
yeah.
Where's Letitia James screaming at the top of her lungs?
Oh, yeah.
Where are all these people? You know why?
They don't.
Because it's not an issue
It's not an issue with
until it's an
them.
issue. Until you
Right?
call Governor Cuomo the most corrupt governor in America and call him a piece of shit on News Channel 9, then it
Right.
becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Okay? As my buddy said, Oh no! When I heard you say that, I knew they'd be coming for you.
Yeah, and they did.
And they did. But the point is, it's not about Christmas cards, people. It's your money, and he shouldn't be spending it on sending Christmas cards to his friends with the hopes
His,
that he'll get reelected. He
his
makes
friends,
$200,000 a year. He lives in a mansion. They own the Ponderosa. Dig
yeah.
into your pocket and send your own Christmas card.
Plus, he's got a war chest. He's got a campaign war chest. He could have took it
And he
right
can
out of
use
that.
it. He can spend
And he could
campaign
do
funds.
that, sure. And he could have done that, but no, he's busy sending one to Claudia Callender down the island after she was the tip of the spear going after Tom Fife. And then after that mission was accomplished, you know what she did? She got booted off the Christmas card list, Sean.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
hell.
she
Listen,
went to the naughty list.
more importantly, he needs to
Yeah,
respect the firefighters in this city. Take care of the firefighters, give them the equipment they need, take care of the police, take care of
yeah,
DPW, stop allowing them to be shit all over by Steve Hennessy. Okay? Start treating people with respect. Answer your phone, answer your emails, talk to your constituents, fill the potholes, get up in the morning and make sure the dog shit ain't all over the sidewalks.
yeah,
It's a real simple job. It just takes a little bit of effort to care. It used to be Cohoes proud because we got up every day and we were proud of our city. You know why? Because we picked up the dog shit, we filled the potholes, we had the cops walking the beat, we had firefighters putting out fires, we had everything
yeah,
we needed: new sidewalks, new parks, new veterans parks. It was about being proud. It ain't proud
mhm.
no more. Matter of
No, no,
fact, all the signs are taken down. That was the first step that it wouldn't be proud no more. We got signs up with the wrong freaking dates of the city's birthday. What do you expect from this guy?
yeah, yeah,
But hey,
yeah,
congratulations for keeping ice here. I appreciate you did that. So
yeah.
look, at 1 out of 10 ain't bad, right?
Well, yeah, plus his anniversary is coming up in July for his marching Black Lives Matter through the city streets. Okay,
Well,
that'll be his 5-year anniversary for that. Okay, so
hey,
hey,
listen, Rock the Block's going to be starting, right? And there's some great shows at the music hall. So if you
yeah,
are a veteran or a member of the
hmm,
Cohoes American Legion or any American Legion, don't forget to visit the American Legion. It's right on the side of the Cohoes Music Hall. Stop in, support the veterans. If you're a veteran, if you are a member of one of the American Legion posts, if you're a veteran and you're not a member, $40 a year. It's the greatest place to go and hang out with some of your friends. Uh, do yourself a favor, man. Go there, join up, $40. I mean, you ain't got to get a
hmm,
better price on a drink. You ain't got to
hmm,
meet any better people. Supporting the vets, rock the block. It's going to be a great time all summer. Stop at the American Legion. Go to the music hall. Stop at the American Legion. Get over
yep,
to the club. I encourage people to sign up if they were a member. We could use members. We need to, I hate to say it this way, but hey, the American Legion, people that are older, a lot of people died off. Now they
hmm,
have sons of the Legion. Like if you had a father or a mother who was in the military, you can join.
hmm,
So if you want to be a Sons of the American Legion, get over there and join, man. And
yep,
once in a while you'll walk in, you'll probably see me and Timmy there because we like to
hmm,
tip a few every once in a while. We
hmm,
like to go to Rock the Block. More importantly, we love to help the vets. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit. Timmy, best wishes on your flight over to the Philippines. My
yep.
suggestion is that you reach down before you go down. You may find yourself.
I I still got one more podcast to do here
Oh, you do?
next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday.
Well,
Then
maybe
I
we won't
leave.
freeze up. Maybe from the Philippines we won't freeze up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll see if it's Spectrum after all. But then, yeah, I'm
Hey,
heading out of here
everybody.
on
And hey,
June 5th.
Jerry, I see you over there,
Adios.
Jerry calling Sean. Jerry cuts my grass. If
Yeah.
he's just a great kid. He does a great job. Did the
Oh,
park um, down by the city hall, the old Stillman Park.
yep.
A lot of great people in the city, a lot of good little businesses in the city. If you need work done, you need grass cut, you need any kind of construction, look up Cohoes businesses, pick for yourself which one will be
Yep.
best for you. But man, don't pass up the Cohoes businesses because they really could use your help. And
Yep.
I know that I always use Cohoes. I know Timmy always uses Cohoes, and everybody from Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit should use Cohoes as well too. So hey, Timmy, I'll see you next week.
Next week. Take care.